Welcome back to the five. Hello, everyone. Welcome back to the Five Takeaways, a new series show thing about Carolina basketball this year. Today, we're going to take a look at the first game of the season for UNC basketball, which was a 69-56 win over the UNC Wilmington Seahawks. Closer than I expected. A little bit sloppier, I guess, than even I was expecting for a first game. I just looked up in the second half and it was still, an 8-10 point game, which I don't know. I guess I didn't do much research on Wilmington and I didn't really know what to expect, but I think there are some things, no, red flags, no glaring errors yet, but just some things you might want the boys to work on a little bit. But as this is the first, game episode, just a reminder, I'm going to do kind of like 5 things I learned from the game. And I have like a little stoplight system, green, yellow, red, green being good, of course, red being not so good. And then there is a Carolina blue box, but those are for special performances. So we don't have any of those today. But yeah, I just want to say before we get into the boxes, I think there was one sequence in the second half that really summed up the whole game for me. Wilmington, we had good defense on them. They put up a shot, they missed it. We get the rebound. Pete Nance, our stretch center, brings the ball up the floor. Bit of a shaky dribbler, crosses midcourt. Somebody picks him up on defense. He kind of, doesn't really have good control, almost loses it. It's kind of a scrap. He somehow gets the ball back, passes it to Armando Bacot, who just abuses his size, gets a layup, and actually gets fouled for an and one. We come back from commercial break, and Armando misses the free throw. I thought that was just a really good, that's what this game was, right? We've got, I don't know if Pete Nance should have been bringing the ball up the floor. He looked a little like he doesn't do that often. Of course, the size of Armando and just the superior talent shown as well. And then the rustiness of missing the free throw. I thought that was like a good synopsis. If you didn't watch it, that's kind of what happened for 40 game minutes. But with that being said, let's jump into these 5 boxes, starting with box 1, first box of the season. It's the first green box of the season. It's a green box for RJ Davis. I thought he was our best player yesterday. Tied for the most points for the team, 17. Caleb Love also had 17. Shot 55% from the field. Played the most minutes on the team, 37 minutes. He just looked good. He scored when we needed him to, timely baskets. I was very impressed with how he broke the press. I'm going to talk a little bit about the press later. Like the defensive press from Wilmington, they were kind of doing a 3/4 court press. I feel like Carolina teams have struggled with that in the past few years, and teams that just exclusively work on that are going to be really good at that, and you hate to get in a situation where you start an 8-0 run for the other team because you can't inbound the ball, turnover, over and back, which happened yesterday, those kinds of things. So I thought he did a great job of taking people on, beating 2 or 3 people with his dribble, and kind of pushing us out of danger. Really looked like he just picked up where he left off. Green box for RJ Davis. Awesome job. I'm sure he will not care at all that I thought he did an awesome job, but he did do an awesome job. And if he is watching this, RJ, you did an awesome job. Second box is going to be another green box for our defensive intensity. I touched on this in the season preview. If you haven't watched that, you should go check it out. But, Coach Roy Williams would always harp on, we came out flat, or there was no defensive intensity, or, you get in a hole, and even if you come back and tie it, you've given them too much momentum, the other team, too much belief that they can compete with us and they can win. And I think, although the score was closer than I would have liked, the defensive intensity was good the whole 40 minutes. I thought Caleb, specifically on the perimeter, was great with his defensive intensity. We held UNC Wilmington to 29.3% from the field. Both teams were pretty cold shooting-wise in the first half. Carolina picked it up a little bit in the second, but under 30% from the field for the opposing team is good. Another interesting note defensively, I guess I had read the reports wrong, or I just heard, he's going to be a new Brady. Pete Nance is a little bit different than Brady, especially on the defensive end of the floor. I mean, he's bigger. He's a better post defender. This is something that UNC didn't really have last year, was someone who you could bring in if Armando was hurt or in foul trouble. And now we do have that big second body in Pete Nance that can provide the post defensive presence, maybe block some shots. a good defense hurts no one, and I liked what I saw yesterday from our defense. So green box number 2, defensive intensity. Our third box is our first yellow box, and it's a yellow box for Leaky Black, specifically on offense. And I know what you're going to say. First of all, I love Leaky. Love Leaky. Second of all, I know he has a specific role for this team, and I know that doesn't necessarily involve being an offensive threat or even necessarily looking for his shot. With that being said, there were a couple times yesterday, specifically in the first half, where I feel like if he can just even pretend to look for his shot, it would be so much more beneficial and effective for Carolina on offense. There was one time where I think it was Caleb, in transition, pushed the ball ahead to Leaky. He's outside the 3-point line. I'm not asking him to take that shot, but he never even looked at the basket. He just kind of, almost like in soccer, like he stayed looking at Caleb and just passed the ball right back to him. I understand Caleb is great in transition. You probably want him to have the ball in your hand. Again, I'm not criticizing Leaky too much. I just think if he, maybe does a quick pump fake, 2 dribbles towards the rim and then backs out, penetrates, kicks it out. He's an athletic guy. You think maybe penetrate, drive in, draw a foul. Any number of those things keeps the defense so much more honest, and they have to respect Leaky as more of a threat going in multiple directions. He made me eat my words already in the second half because he caught the ball, wide open 3, took some dribbles, got into the lane, backed down a defender, turned around, put the ball in, got fouled, and won. So I'm not saying if he's open for 3 every single time, shoot it. It's just another threat for us. So still love Leaky, still love what he does for this team. I just think maybe, even pretend to shoot a little bit more. Box number 4 is another yellow box for, I'm just going to label this as little things. I know it's game 1, but there was just a number of, like I said, little things that when added up, I think resulted in us not winning as comfortably as I was maybe expecting. Some turnovers, I would say. Poor rebounding numbers. We actually got out-rebounded on the offensive glass by Wilmington, 16-5. We only had 5 offensive rebounds. Also only had 4 assists. That's got to change, I think, if you want to compete in late March. You got to have better ball movement. I mean, we only scored 69 points, which is nice, but you'd like more in that respect. Nerves, first game probably. A lot of young players playing some big minutes. I say big because the score was relatively close. I did think without RJ breaking some of those 3-quarter court press, we struggled with that a couple times. Of course, PTSD flashbacks to the Baylor game. And ball security in the post. I thought Armando put the ball down and dribbled it a couple times more than he should have. Because, if he's going to get double teams almost every time he touches the ball, putting the ball down is just, another way for especially smaller defenders to poke a hand in and knock it away from him. And I thought he lost it a couple times. Whereas if he just obviously keeps it high, easier said than done, but might be a little bit better with ball security. So just a lot of little things. I'll say yellow box. Of course, first game, right? Nerves and general sloppiness. But finally, we have box number 5. It was a green box for substitutes. Shout out Coach Hubert Davis. I thought he did a really good job of managing his bench, especially because as a home opener, you really want a big win in front of a rowdy crowd to, kickstart this season. And we're losing early on. We're struggling to pull away. Every time we score, they come back and answer. And he still went to his bench. He still played freshmen. He still played sophomores. DeMarco Dunn, Dontrez Styles were in the game at the same time at one point in the first half. Seth Trimble, Tyler Nickel getting big minutes in the second half as well. I actually think it's a good thing that you use those players in games like this that are closer than expected. Yes, any game time is good game time, but up 10 when you're playing with Caleb Love as opposed to up 40 when you're playing with the guys at the end of the bench, that's just a different vibe. And so I'm very pleased at what I saw from more of a bench rotation, and I hope to see more of that going forward. So yeah, those are our 5 boxes. Just to kind of wrap up, I did think Caleb was also really good. I mentioned his defensive intensity, and he did have 17 points, which was tied for team high as well with RJ Davis. Armando did mention a couple turnovers, but also just he's so dominant against these smaller schools. It's like I almost feel like we should just have 4 guys outside of the 3-point line, put up shots, and if they brick or miss, he'll just clean up, because there were a couple times where he got offensive rebounds that just fell in his lap because of his size and his good positioning. And I know I said this a little bit in my season preview, and just in general, it's good probably to temper expectations, but there's just something about having that number 1 ranking by the school's name and the start of the season where you just really want to see people come out and big dunks and threes and win by 50 and pull away early and have Blue Steel come in at the end and try and get Bojangles biscuits right. It's very easy to go down that slope of, oh man, I feel like we left a lot on the table. And so I just want to end with, it's the first game, did what we need to do, shook off a little bit of rust. You can see flashes of really, really, really good talent all over the court. And we even looked better from first half to second half. So I'm confident that we'll get in the lab, as they say, and steadily improve. But, new season, starting off 1-0. Can't beat that. I think we've got College of Charleston on Friday evening. So start of the season, 1-0. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll be back for a video for the next game. Go Heels.